I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I'm really bad with names. Have you ever found yourself in that type of a situation? It's really embarrassing for you and the person whose name you forgot. And it turns out that you're not alone. Everyone's bad with names. Names are a unique, hard type of information to remember because there's nothing really telling in the name that gives you insight into the person. Well, it's really important to remember people's names because people get hurt, they get upset when you do not recall their names. It's as though they are insignificant or they're not important enough for you to remember their name. And on the other hand, a person's name is the sweetest sound to them. There's studies that have shown that in a room which is filled with people and there's a lot of noise, and when you call someone's name out, they're able to pick it up and discern that noise and respond to it. That is how beloved names are to us. So remembering people's names are important on many levels. It makes a person feel good when they hear the name, and immediately they start paying attention to what is being said to them. Think of an influential personality who takes care to remember people's names and even mentions personal aspects of the people's lives who they meet. And you'll find that people naturally gravitate to that person. Now, this is not just by chance. It's because we feel good when people remember our names, and we feel bad when they don't. The Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam endeared people in different ways. If you look at the books of Ahadith, there is a chapter of Kitabul Manaqib, in which the praise and the compliments, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went on to list praise and compliments of the traits of various Sahaba radiallahu anhum, he watched his companions very, very closely and monitored their conduct and their special traits and qualities that they possess and complimented them for that. Often Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would personalize the address to certain Sahaba at times, and he would say, Ya Abu Dharr, Ya Abdullah, Ya Abu Huraira, O Abu Dharr, O Abdullah, O Abu Huraira. And you can well imagine the sort of impact that this may have had on the companions, having Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam take their names. So learning and remembering names are not that difficult. There are certain things that we can do to remember people's names. One of the things is at the outset is that we need to put our phones away, because studies are showing that your phone's presence, even if you're not looking at your phone, but just sit there, distracts your mind. And you now have a distracted mind. Now, when you're welcoming new guests or you're meeting new people, a distracted mind won't be helpful in remembering the person's name. The moment the person says the name, repeat it and spell it out. As soon as you hear the name, then say, for example, nice to meet you, Rumeisa. How do you spell your name? So that creates a lasting impression in your mind. Another thing that you could use is visual cues. Look at the person's face and search for the most distinguishing feature. Whether it's a small nose, large ears, unusual hairdo, deep dimples. Often the first outstanding feature you notice is the easiest to recall. Connecting a name to a visual trait helps anchor that name in your memory. Some people learn better by seeing information than hearing it. So if it sounds like you, that you are that type of a person, then consider writing down the person's name that you've met. The most important thing is to care. The psychologists and memory experts are pointing out that the main reason we forget people's names is that we're not really focused on learning it in the first place. There's too much going on and vying for our attention. So if you make the conscious decision that you're going to remember names because you care about the people you meet, you will immediately become much better at doing that. And once you remember someone's name, the great thing is that you can use it in conversations, and like that you build better rapport with the person, and there's greater connectivity. One needs to be careful not to call people by the wrong names or misspell people's names in writing, because that has a very distasteful impact on the person. We are told in the verses of the Noble Quran, وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ, do not call people by names that they don't like, by nicknames. You know, for years later, people are called baby or boy and things like that, and they don't like it. That's the only way communities know them, and there's no other way of identifying. So we need to stem that out, and we need to root that out. We need to respect people's names, and if you respect people's names and you call them by their names, it's one of the simplest, subtlest and most profound ways of showing people you care and building bonds.